Hey everybody, welcome to Pop Culture Philosophers. I'm Rockin' Robbie Billups, and it's time for the weekly comic book review. That's right everybody, thanks for checking out the video. I am Rockin' Robbie Billups. This is the weekly comic book review. It's the show where I read a lot of comic books, and I'll let you know what I thought about them. But first, I want to highlight Dynamic Forces real quick. Hop on over to Dynamic Forces. They got great collectibles and comics available for sale. Signed books, remarked books, sketches, all that kind of stuff, right? But I do want to point out that right now, they got some really nice exclusive limited edition covers to Stray Dogs Dog Days issue #1, including this fantastic Evil Dead 2 movie poster homage cover that I absolutely love. You can get signed copies, you can get non-signed copies. Check them all out at dynamicforces.com at the link in the description below or right up here in the video. And of course, remember to use the code Robbie at your cart. You'll save 10%. And we always start with the pick of the week, and this week's pick of the week is New Masters issue #1 from Image Comics. This one's written by Shobo with artwork by Schaff, and I was very impressed with this debut issue. I'm not familiar with these creators, but I really liked what they did with the first issue, setting up a really interesting, compelling story with really great, engaging characters, and doing it with a boisterous energy through the artwork, through the pace, through the dialogue, and through the color. It was absolutely amazing. I loved the book. I liked the vision of it, right? So on Earth, in this world, at some point in the early 21st century, let's just read what it says. In the early part of the 21st century, the Jovian fleet burst into our solar system, bringing with it the Ark of Species. When the fleet slammed into Earth, it scattered debris across the surface and leaked exotic fuels into the soil. This cataclysmic event swallowed great cities like New York, London, Paris, and Berlin. However, it fueled the rise of new interplanetary ports of call, such as Lagos, Morocco, Mumbai, and Hong Kong. So that's what it is. A new world has arisen. This one's set in a very highly civilized West Africa. It's kind of like Wakanda. It's super futuristic. There's been alien technology integrated into humanity, into society, but we still have the same disparity between the classes and between the different factions. And you got revolutionaries and idealists, and you got people that are just greedy and people that are trying to control everything and have their power. But it's really at the heart of it, the story about this girl, about she's kind of like a scavenger. People are going around trying to seep this fuel out of the earth so they can sell it on the black market. It builds out that world very well, but it builds out that world not just through telling us stuff, but showing us stuff. And having the main character, or at least the focal point in the majority of this issue, it's through her eyes that we're discovering this world for the first time, but for her, not the first time. Lots of interesting characters, lots of really great, intriguing type stuff going on in this book. I loved the concept, I liked the scope, and I adored the execution. New Masters issue #1, a strong pick of the week from Image Comics. Image got some good books. We also got the 80-page Geiger special. This is $7.99, but it is 80 pages, and it's meaty, it's chunky, it's hunky, it's funky. It's got all of the stuff that you want to have. So it's got, first of all, it's got a Red Coat story, introducing this character, the Red Coat. There's going to spin off into its own series by Jeff Johns and Brian Hitch. That's in here. That was really intriguing. That was super cool, because Geiger, we found out in its last issue in particular, that it's not just the story about this one thing at this one time. It's an overarching story about a new pantheon of heroes and villains and things like that that Jeff Johns kind of creating. Redcoat's one of them. He gets introduced in this issue. Then we get a little bit of a Geiger story about how he came across the two-headed dog. That one's by Johns and Gary Frank. Then you got other creators coming in, basically introducing us to the other rulers of these other casinos, and they're all kind of themed, and so of course their empire is kind of themed out by according to the theme of the casino. So there's like the Frankenstein Castle one, and it's all monsters. There's the Roman one, everything's done like it's old school Roman type days. So you got people like Sterling Gates, Peter Tomasi, Porsak Pichot, Janet Harvey, Jay Farber, you got lots of cool stuff here, introducing new concepts, kind of building out, fleshing out the world of Geiger, because it's so much more than what that initial miniseries led us to believe till the end. But I liked it. I thought it was fun, big, chunky, funky Geiger fun. Then we got crossover here with issue number 11. I rather liked this issue of crossover. We're getting a little bit more clear focus on what the theme of the story is, or how certain things are coming about. I think it's getting more and more clever. It keeps introducing more independent comic book creations that can exist in this world. And of course, it's got a big lots of explainy type stuff from Donny Cates himself. Donny Cates appeared in the last issue, and there's lots of stuff kind of cluing you in on what exactly set all that up and how crossover this story actually came to be. And it's a meta statement within a meta statement, but I kind of liked it. Thought it was cool. Crossover number 11, still winning me over. Then we got Nocterra returning for its second arc with issue number 7. I didn't really like Nocterra. I liked it at first, but as it kind of dwindled, my interest dwindled through those 6 issues. I did not like the Blacktop Bill special, so I wasn't necessarily excited to dive back into this world. One thing I will say is that Scott Snyder does a really good job of, even if this is your first issue of Nocterra, he lets you know what everything is, who the villains are, what the monsters are, who the characters are, what's going on. You get caught up. So if you don't really remember what happened in the first arc, you also got a nice refresher here. Artwork's all right, but the story's just not really grabbing me. It just kind of gets stunted a little bit by some overly verbose pages, some overly expository type sequences. It could have a better flow, a lot more energy to it, but it's just losing me. I don't know if I'm going to continue on reading Nocterra, but I know a lot of people are digging that. New Burn is here with issue number 3. Feels like it's been a while since we had the last issue, but it was worth the wait. I loved this book. It was almost pick of the week. New Burn by Chip Zdarsky, Jacob Phillips. This is about a dude who used to be a cop, and now he is kind of like the mafia's go-to guy. Whenever one family has problems with another family, whenever there's some kind of crime that's done cross families, he's the one that comes in, investigates, and adjudicates, right? And so in this one, you got a bunch of different members from these different gangs and these different families just coming up dead, and he is under the gun. They're like, you better fix this real quick or we're going to take you out. So he's even under more pressure. So it's continuing to build the world of New Burn, continuing to build the characters that are established in this story, but still just doing a really great job of telling a self-contained story in an overall narrative. New Burn number 3, really liked it. That artwork is fire too. Then we have Ant, issue number 2. This is from Eric Larson. Eric Larson has bought the rights to the character Ant, and he's making his own stamp on it, reigniting it, doing something different, doing something, I don't know. I never read the original Ant stuff, but I'm under the impression this is something different. I read issue number 1, and I really kind of liked it. Now, a lot of people weren't really in on the artwork, thought it was a bit lazy and things like that. Now, I'm not going to justify the artwork too much. I get what people are saying about the line work in particular, but there are moments in here that I think are really fantastic. So me personally, there is an energy. Of course, I've been diving deep into like Image from like 30 years ago. I mean, Image is celebrating 30 years, and I'm just digging this stuff. For the first time in my life, I'm really enjoying the energy of an Eric Larson page or Rob Liefeld. It's wild. I don't know what's going on with me, but I started a chain reaction when I became a Spawn fan overnight, and my life's been better. And Ant is one of these books that I absolutely love, that I think most people won't, but I like it. I like the story, some interesting things being done structurally, but it keeps a kinetic flow throughout the book. The story's delivering exposition while also showing us things in a different light, in a different sequence, but just work. I don't know. I'm not trying to weird stretch and say this book is like masterful, but I really like this book. I really do. Then we got Spawn here with issue 326. It was an alright issue of Spawn. So Spawn is up against Haunt, like that I think it's a Todd McFarlane, Robert Kirkman type character. I never really read that stuff, so I'm kind of like, okay, I understand who the character is, but he showed up in the last issue. Him and Spawn have a tuffle, and they're still just doing this whole like, this one is kind of meandering around. Like, I'm loving King Spawn so much, and I'm loving Gunslinger Spawn, and the Scorch started off all right, but Spawn right now has just been a bit slow, a bit just not much happening, and it feels like it's taken forever to get through this hunk of story that we're in. So Spawn is not my favorite Spawn book right now, but it was still all right. And the artwork, like Carlos Barberi, some of his Spawn work has been really good. Here, it's okay. It's okay. He's got another book out we'll talk about this week a little bit later on. Then we got Echolands, issue number 6. Is it? Yes, issue number 6 of Echolands. This book is gorgeous. And if you're going to read this book, you got to read it in this format because the pages, the layouts, the composition, the artwork itself, this is some really cool out there stuff that's J.H. Williams stretching and doing all of these different styles in one incoherent story, though. That's the biggest problem with this, is that story-wise, it's kind of like I know what's going on, but the way that the story is delivered, I'd rather just sit here and look at the images, and I could look at these images all day long. Echolands number 6 is out. The artwork, beautiful as ever. Sweet Paprika is here with issue number 7. 7 of 12, I believe. Maybe 10. I've never really gone full all in on a Mirka Andolfo book, but I am with Sweet Paprika. This book has got a raunchy charm about it. It is funny. It's actually trying to say something about, like, repression. It's trying to say something about expectation. It's trying to say something about putting on the airs and putting on a face for the world and not understanding who you really are and integrating your outside self with your inside self, things like that, right? And it's doing it in a very clever, amusing, and fun kind of way. I love this book. It is cheeky and fun and ridiculous, but at the same time, it's saying and exploring some very real themes about, like, repression and sex and expectations. Sweet Paprika, issue number 7. I'm loving that. Then we have the official Image timeline. This is a big $8 comic book that is straight up a timeline of Image comics. So it doesn't give you all the covers, doesn't give you all the toys, doesn't give you everything, but it gives you a timeline compiled by Jim Valentino on the side of what happened at Image when, and the corresponding, like, you even have the resignation letter from Mark Silvestri, and then the letter from Rob Liefeld about how he was pissed about the meeting that they took to kick him out. So really interesting. If you're into, like, comic book history and the Image history, this is a really essential resource, and it goes all the way up into the modern day, but I loved focusing in on the early stuff, especially the rise of Image, seeing the photos, seeing the timeline. I really like that. I almost gave that pick of the week. No lie. Let's jump over to Marvel Comics. We have Savage Spider-Man. Savage Spider-Man is a new #1, but it doesn't read like a new #1 because it's not really a new #1. This is Nonstop Spider-Man issue 6 or something, right? But they got Chris Bachalo off of the book. They brought in Sandoval. Is that Rafa Sandoval? No, it's Gerardo Sandoval. So this, if you haven't been reading Nonstop Spider-Man, which I wasn't, you're just dropped into the middle of a damn story. Spider-Man is the man-spider again. He's a big monster, and he's in the jungle, and he's with Baron Zemo. That being said, when I didn't like Nonstop Spider-Man because it was very verbose and it was bogged down. For a book that was supposed to be driven by action, it felt very stiff, right? This one actually finally, I think, lives up to that promise. It's very light on dialogue. It's very quick to get through. They do this trick that Bachalo was doing where they angle all of the panels to kind of provide like an action line or something like that. And what gets really obnoxious about it is that the lettering, they'll tilt the lettering to match that. And I don't necessarily think that's cool. But it's got some cool artwork. And it wasn't boring, and it kind of went right through. Then we got Sabretooth, issue #1. This series is weird, right? So last we saw Sabretooth, he got put into the nose space of Krakoa or whatever, basically put in prison. So this is Victor Lascelles, Leonard Kirk, I believe, coming in and telling a Sabretooth story. Yeah, Leonard Kirk. So it is Sabretooth's experience in that Krakoan prison. And it's weird because there's a lot of mental things going on. It's weird. Basically, Sabretooth creates Krakoan hell. I don't know. I don't know what I feel about this book. Like, I don't think it was necessarily very good. But at the same time, it was kind of fun. But not good. Sabretooth, issue number 1. What do y'all think? Let us know. Then we got Fantastic Four Reckoning War, issue number 1, Alpha. And this is kicking off what should be a really big event. Like honestly, if you want to have a big event at Marvel, have this have some actual build-up. Have the events that happen here happen in a not so frantic way. I've been digging what Dan Slott's been doing on Fantastic Four. The Reckoning War is something that he's been planting seeds for in his She-Hulk run, in his Silver Surfer run, and now in Fantastic Four it's finally going to come to fruition. It's dealing with Nick Fury, the one-eyed Watcher Nick Fury, the Unseen, I guess we call him, and the Watcher, Uatu's back. There's a big cataclysmic event that's about to happen. The Reckoning's about to happen, and then some nutso stuff happens in this issue. And you're like, this feels like it should be really epic in scope, and this is what you should be doing an event on. However, this Alpha issue, so much is crammed in, it's not very much an even read. So even though it kind of wowed me in the first third of this book, I was like, wow, I'm really into this. Then it just kind of loses itself for me. It's trying to be overstuffed. It's trying to do too much or something like that. And then it leads into the next issue of Fantastic Four, and I don't know, some interesting things happen here, but it didn't quite win me over. I thought it started strong and then kind of muddied about for a while. That's what I feel there. Then we got the X-Cellent issue number 1. This is Pete Milligan and Mike Allred and Laura Allred reuniting again to bring back the Ecstatics, and I'm all for it. So the X-Cellent are in. They're like a new version of the Ecstatics. There's actually Zeitgeist, who died in the first issue of their X-Force run. He's been resurrected. This is all spinning out of that one shot that they did last year. And I love it, man. I'm such a fan of the Allreds. I do like Peter Milligan, and this just took me back to those days. It's kitschy, it's fun, it's silly, it's goofy. But I'm there for it. The X-Cellent number 1, if you're an Allred fan, a must-read. Then we got the X-Lives of Wolverine, issue number 2. This one does start really trying to explain what exactly is going on. Even though we were able to piece it together in that first issue, Wolverine is somehow time-traveling into his old future, his old past selves to save Charles Xavier, because there is somehow Omega Red is hijacking the consciousness of individuals and trying to kill Xavier throughout time. I don't know. Didn't do much for me. Didn't really like the first issue. Didn't really like the second issue. It doesn't feel big. Doesn't feel game-changing. Feels like there's some potential there that they could do some interesting things. In fact, they kind of do. Wolverine's kind of messing with the timeline, but then what is that? I don't know, man. They trying to make Logan the new Moira? What's going on there? Anyway, X-Lives Wolverine number 2. It's not looking that great for the X-Men for me, except for the X-Cellent. I really like that. And Sabretooth was just dumb enough that I enjoyed it. Then we got Daredevil, Woman Without Fear, issue number 2, continuing the story of Elektra's past coming back to haunt her. A past that now Matt Murdock is finding out about. This is set during the reign of Devil's Reign, you can say, so they're dealing with a little bit of the ramifications of that, but this is very much Chip Zdarsky penned, focused in on Elektra, on her journey as not only Daredevil, but as her as Elektra Natchios, as a person trying to come to terms with what she's done, what she's doing, and maybe what she will do. What's her path going to be? So I really liked the first issue. I thought the second issue was a decent enough follow-up. Didn't quite wow me as much as that first issue, but I still liked it. I like the focus in on the character, and I feel like Chip's getting the character right. And for me, honestly, I feel like it's been a while since Elektra's really been done right? And it's kind of making me want to go back and read that Mike Deodato, Pete Milligan Elektra run. Why? I don't know. Surely it can't be that great. But Daredevil, Woman Without Fear, issue number 2, I liked it. Then we got Fantastic Four Life Story, issue number 6. Mark Russell wrapping up Fantastic Four Life Story, just like Spider-Man Life Story before it. He's taking the story of the Fantastic Four and spreading it out in real time through the decades. So the first issue is about the 60s, then the second is about the 70s, and they started in 1961, and now we're in the 2010s here. And it's the end story of the Fantastic Four. Here's the problem with this book. This is mostly like kind of a coda, but it doesn't quite work for me. The whole direction of this series was building up to the arrival of Galactus, and Reed having to overcome and all of the troubles of his life, especially his life as a father and a husband and a friend and a brother-in-law, and lots of sacrifice there. And then the Galactus stuff, that all happened in issue number 5, the penultimate issue. And now in issue number 6, we're presented with another story that's supposed to feel bigger than that, yet it doesn't. But on the emotional side of it, the core was there. So it was a good coda to this story, but it didn't quite work as a chapter on its own, focused on a threat that wasn't as big as the threat that just got defeated in the previous issue. So Fantastic Four Life Story issue number 6, it was all right. Then we got Alien here with issue number 9 of Alien. It's all right. I really am liking this arc better than that first arc. You basically got these farmers that are on this planet sent by the corporation to terraform it. They've completed their mission, but they're like, nah, you're going to be too self-sufficient. So what do? They drop some alien eggs on the planet to take care of the problem. And now you just got the aliens, the xenomorphs out there ravaging this planet. And that's mostly what you get in issue number 9. That's what I want. So there you go. Artwork by Salvador Larroca, still a little bit stiff for this book in particular. There's some moments that are a little wonky, don't quite work for me, but all in all, it's still a pretty fun series that I thought about dropping, but I'm maintaining. Let's go over to DC. And from DC, we have Monkey Prince issue number 1. This is written by Gene Luen Yang. I'm a big fan of his book, American Born Chinese. If you've never read that book, I highly encourage you to check it out. Monkey Prince it's all right. I guess it's not necessarily in all ages, or is it necessarily geared towards middle age, but I think this would work better for someone like an adolescent, like a 11 to 15, something like that. I don't know what you call kids that age. Anyway, Monkey Prince probably better suited for that, but it was interesting. It was fine. I didn't have a problem with it necessarily. The artwork by Bernard Chang was all right. The story was decent. It's about this kid who finds out that he's like the ancestor or the son of the Monkey King in this magical realm, and he's in this real life, so it's got this kind of magical Harry Potter amethyst type thing, but leaning into Chinese folklore and the Monkey King, Monkey Prince kind of idea. It's all right. It's just maybe a little too much. It's too connected to the Batman world right now in this first issue. It needs to stand on its own, but it was decent enough. Gene Luen Yang, big fan of his work. Superman Smashes the Klan, American Born Chinese. His Batman Superman run was pretty good. So I might give this one a chance for a few issues, see where I lie after that. Then we got Arkham City, The Order of the World, issue number 5. The penultimate issue, and I loved it. This book was absolutely great. It's dark, it's seedy, it's dirty, and it's exactly what it should be. Dan Watters, Danny, Dave Stewart, Aditya Bidikar, they're doing exactly what each do the best in the industry and doing it even better together. It's about the power of teamwork, this book is, because they managed to craft such a visceral, dark, dirty experience with this book, right? So Arkham was destroyed. There's a bunch of like C-list Arkhamites that are out there. There's this one doctor trying to find them, but she's slowly drifting into a circle of spiraling madness and ridiculousness along with these inmates like the Ten-Eyed Man and Dr. Phosphorus and others. And I really love the take on these characters. I really love the creep factor of the artwork. It's just working. This reads like a 90s Vertigo book, but set definitively in continuity in Gotham now. And I loved it. I love it. And Azrael's back to just batshit insane, and it's fun. Then we got Justice League Incarnate issue number 4, another penultimate issue. Josh Williamson, Dennis Culver, and a plethora of artists here. This is the big explainy issue. Every time we're doing one of these build-ups to a new crisis, everybody's got to recontextualize the crisis events throughout the DC history, especially since Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's got to put it all together with the new thread added of whatever the vibe is that they're pushing. And Josh Williamson's pushing the importance of the Great Darkness. The problem is, it's starting to fall flat because this has been going on so much. Now, we had Crisis. Crisis led us into Zero Year, but Crisis was still big, and it was a big deal. And we didn't truly get that kind of level of Crisis event revisited until Infinite Crisis. Well, it had been a while, right? Final Crisis came right after it, but it was doing its own thing. Metal came in and recontextualized some things, and I really liked it, especially with the death metal stuff. But that was just, like, ended last year. Like, Perpetua, all that stuff. Nope. All part of an overall plan. Let's explain it all. That's starting to bore me a little bit, but I'm still digging the multiversal darkness, Darkseid, Justice League Incarnate, digging all that kind of stuff. So I really like the stakes that were raised in the first half of that issue, but the recontextualizing of the Crisis events through this new vehicle from Williamson, it's starting to bore me just a little bit. Then we got Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 4. A really great issue. This one jumps back a little bit, shows you how the elves arrived in this DC fantasy world and how they became the rulers of this kingdom. And so it's a little bit of prequel type stuff. So we got a different artist coming in, Bingle's coming in, and the art's fine. It's just 4 issues in, we're already getting a fill-in artist, and I get that it's a flashback issue, so I understand that the art change makes sense, but you can't give me one consistent artist for 12 issues. That was a bit of a drag for me, but the story was solid. It was really cool. Tom Taylor's doing a great job of building up this world. It could be predictable, it could be simple, it could be just tropey, but it actually is all of those things, but still works. I absolutely love this book. Dark Knights of Steel, issue number 4. That was great. Then we got Batman 120. And it's all right. You know, I was really excited for Josh Williamson to come in. I wasn't really liking Fear State, so I was wanting some new blood on this title. And Josh Williamson's come in, and it's all right. You know, it's just not quite winning me over. I love that it's throwing back to Batman Incorporated. I love that Lex Luthor is a part of it, but Lex Luthor's doing stuff in here where I'm like, I don't know about that. Like, it's just not fitting for me. I don't like this new Lex Luthor that we've seen in the comic book world. Like, I want my Lex Luthor to be Lex Luthor. Criminal mastermind, genius, insane. You know, totally insane. But a little bit less. Like, he's like so much like Jeff Bezos now, or like what people think Jeff Bezos is like or something. So I don't know. It's just not quite working for me. This Abyss character is interesting, and the story involving around that and Batman Inc., that's a little bit compelling, but all in all, it's just falling a little flat. So, I don't know. Then we got Detective Comics 1051. Talk about falling flat. I am over this Arkham Tower story. I do not like the way that they're explaining things. I got really excited when we got the Psycho Pirate reveal at the end of the last issue. I'm not trying to spoil too much, but it's on the cover. So we explain how Psycho Pirate got from all the Crisis crap that he's been a part of into here. And it's so mundane and ridiculous that I just wasn't really kind of digging it. I do not like this overall plot of this Tower story. The backup story, though, by Rosenberg and Blanco is great. I really like that story about that kid being manipulated by Scarecrow. Now we got a new manipulation in this issue, and it works for me. So Detective Comics 1051, backup's good. Main story, weak. Super weak. Then we got One Star Squadron here with issue number 3. Not as impactful as the second issue. I thought that was by far a highlight of the series. Mark Russell doing a satirical take on things, on heroes, on society, and doing it in an obvious way, but an obvious that is also kind of tongue-in-cheek and funny. But this is kind of like The Office meets superheroes. It's like Heroes for Hire in the DC universe, but rather boring and mundane and ridiculous and awkward like The Office. Red Tornado's in charge there, but I like the book. I like the themes it's exploring. It just doesn't quite have the nuance that the second issue had. So I hope they can get back to something like that, but it's all about the pacing of the overall narrative, so I'm still liking the book. I think it's pretty solid. Then we got Primos, number 1 from AWA Upshot Comics. I was really excited to check this one out because I knew it was by Carlo Barberi, and I also knew that it was about Mayan technology and modern superheroes or something like that. And it didn't disappoint me. I liked this issue. I thought it was a really cool setup. You're not really... I mean, we get superhero books from AWA Upshot, but they haven't really quite worked for me so much. I like their more genre takes on things, like their crime, their horror, and all that jazz. But this was really cool. I liked it. So it's about these Mayan dudes who build a spaceship, right? So it's like ancient aliens technology and stuff. They build a spaceship. They fly off into space. They meet the gods, these alien beings, these creatures. They got to go back and lead the Earth to enlightenment. So they go back, and it's 2022. So their civilization is destroyed. So some of them want to destroy the human race, and then the other one is like, oh no, we gotta save the cosmos by enlightening Earth. We can't enlighten Earth if all this is going on. So now he's got to find a new group of heroes. It was an interesting, cool origin story. I liked the setup. I thought it was neat. I'm always into ancient alien type stuff. I love anything about the Mayan civilization or the Olmecs or the Aztecs or any of those Central American. We don't know so much about their civilizations, man. It's really sad how they were wiped out, and there's a mystery there. And so I love these sci-fi kind of takes on that mystery, and this was really solid. So I like this. Al Madrigal is the writer there. That was a really solid book. Then we got Red Sonja Valentine's Day Special. This is from Dynamite. This is written by Chuck Brown. It's got a few different artists on it. I really like the Jordi Perez stuff. I like the artists in and of themselves, but their styles vary. Some of the styles vary very different from the others, and it's jarring when we get to that bit. But it's a pretty cool story. It's about this this couple, a man and a woman, and they're these like cherub beings, right? So there's like king, cherub, or something like that. So you think of these like these angel babies and how cute they are, but these ones are like monsters, and they're like stealing people to eat them and shit like that. So they take this chick's boyfriend, and now her and Red Sonja go to like kill all of these like evil, ugly goblin baby angel cherub things, and it's just a nice fun romp. There's some really cool covers for this one. I really like that cover, so I had to pick with that one. Then we got Hell Sonja issue number 2 from Dynamite. Love that cover. Lucio Perillo. I am confused when I read this book. I mean, I can pick up what's going on, but I don't feel connected to anything. This is a follow-up to Sonjaversal. I haven't read Sonjaversal, so I got to get on that. I got to get on reading Sonjaversal because I'm digging the artwork here. There's some really great stuff. Some energetic, dynamic moments for Dynamite, so that kind of makes sense. So overall, I'm intrigued by it still. I like the art. I like these different versions of Red Sonja. I like this Hell Sonja devil character or whatever, but I am lost and disconnected, so I got to read Sonjaversal. Then we got Human Remains, issue number 5 from Vault Comics. I really, really liked this book when it first started. It's been losing me slowly over the last couple issues. This issue I liked a lot better. We're starting to get into this weird, like, sporadic type pace. All the books are trying to slide off the table. We're getting into this weird kind of sporadic type pace, right? But now that we've introduced our cast of characters, which the way that was done is kind of clever, right? Now we have a full cast of characters, all with their backstories, all with all of that laid out there and known to us, the audience. And now Milligan is doing this like choppy pace thing and amping everything up. So Human Remains issue number 5, I liked. A little bit of a course correction, at least in my experience. I'm not saying that the book needed to course correct, but it was a course correction for my reading, if that makes sense. But Human Remains number 5, I liked it, but still not quite getting the solid vibes that I got in those first couple of issues. Then we have The Goon, issue number, 14 of The Goon. It's been a while since The Goon has come out. Even if you've never read The Goon, you can just jump in pretty much to any issue. You'll figure it out. This one was a really fun issue. I liked it a lot. Since this kid with this duck, I don't know. I haven't read most Goon stuff, so I don't know if this is a recurring character, but he winds up getting control of a mummy, and then there's this like goblin that shows up to the Goon, and the Goon's trying to eat a pork chop sandwich, and every time the Goon's trying to eat a pork chop, this goblin monster thing shows up and stops him from doing it, and it's just so weird and so ridiculous and absurd. This book is fun. If you like monster type things, if you like horror, but you like a fun comedic silly approach to it, The Goon is spot on. And then from Mad Cave we have Speed Republic. This is about a Europe that is owned by this or controlled by this dude called the Autocrat, and it's a society in which most people don't have anything and the very few have everything, and kind of like Hunger Games, but instead of the Hunger Games you have car chases. So it's like The Amazing Race instead of the Hunger Games. So it doesn't quite have the impact. The story's all over the place, didn't work for me, never connected with me as a reader. The artwork has some really great tricks to do, but is getting held back, I think, by an expository issue. Just didn't quite work for me. So that's what I read, that's what I thought, that's what I was digging. What are you reading? What are you thinking? What are you digging? Let us know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for checking out the video. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe, and join us over at patreon.com/PCP if you want to help support the channel. I've been Rockin' Robbie Billups. Thanks for rocking with us. Keep on reading. Station. Pop, pop, boom.